Good afternoon. My name is Veronica Melendez, and today I'm going to talk about two great civilizations that impressed me the most throughout this quarter of class that we have seen so far. But before starting, I will first like to talk about what makes a great civilization. That is, what characteristics we find in all civilizations that we have seen so far that have been made them in favor of trade, life expectancy, protection against enemy, and also help them to last, to continue reign over and over civilizations. So to begin, we see that the main resources that humans beings need to live and of course to create or build a great civilization, they need a source of water. And this is a necessary resource not only for us as a human beings and to use it for drink or cook or clean ourselves, but it's also vital for cultivation to get some crops, some vegetables. And a lot of Asian people use it a creation of irrigation system so they can drive waters and then supply to their crops. They can also use it for animals and other things. We also have the geography. Soils and the locations of a civilization, it's very important. We see, for example, that some civilizations had well humid mountains which served them for cultivation, the breeding of certain animals, and has a strong strategy for enemies. We can see in other parts of the region that you can have valleys, so you can get more crops and it's easier to get them for trade. We also find the climate. Some civilizations could have a humid, continuously, or hot, or they might have certain seasons of cold climates with a lot of rainfall throughout the year or just during seasons of the year. Either one of those, which can benefit certain crops to grow and animals too. So, if the weather was very dry or humid, it had very bad consequences for the crops. So, a good climate we also can make a great civilization. We also find a social structure. So moving on, we will compare and contrast the achievement of these two great civilizations, the Islam world and the world of Rome. To begin with, we will describe their geography. For the Islamic world, if we compare it with Europe, we'd see that the Islamic world is approximately a third of the size of Europe. It covers about 1,000,000 squares of mile. The majority of its land is a desert. And before they became Islamic world, they were two big empires called Byzantine and Sassanid. However, they have been weakened by different diseases and plagues, and also they have been diminished the number of people by previous thoughts. So that's why the Islamic world get together and they will finally become the number one out of the two prior empires. And the other side we find the Roman Empire. And we see that the historic city of Rome, it's located in the central western part of the Italian peninsula of the banks of the Tiber River in the Lazio region of Italy. And one of the great things about Rome and its geography is that the Roman people have elevated location of the city on the top of the seven hills provide a sense of protection to the residents and also protects the people against floodings when you have rainfall season. All great cities of the world have developed off the bank of major rivers, and of course Rome did too. So the water of this Tiber River satisfies the domestic water needs of the people of the region. Also, the river helps to facilitate irrigation and navigation for commerce. So it connects Rome to the Mediterranean Sea and thus provide an easy trade route between Rome and other parts of Europe and the world. So both of those civilizations has a great geography and that help them to get different resources from the land, different crops and products, and share to others. Now we're going to compare a little bit of culture and religion of both of them. So first, the Islamic world, they believe in a American called Muhammad. He has a religion vision that inspired him to preach God's revelation to the people of Mecca. Unfortunately, he died in 1632. Nevertheless, his message continues spreading to many years. And before he died, he wrote what we know the Quran. Through the Quran, he taught people to live with a noble lifestyle, dedicating themselves to fasting, prayer, meditation of the law, and avoidance of sin. Even those who owned land and were merchants across the regions also made changes in the way they treat their employees, doing it so with favor and fair with their prices. Another important part about the religion is that Muhammad told his people we are polytheists, which means they believe in many gods. They have to take away and get rid of all the idols that they have and believe on the invisible God. At first, this idea was not well received from the Islam world. However, after the years passed by, they believed that Muhammad was a prophet, and they ended up believe of what he wrote. In the other side, we have the world of Rome. And it's very interesting because the world of Rome, it's more related to a Christianity, a religion. And at first, we find that Christianity, which is people who believe in Jesus of the Nazareth, believe in his miracles, and his death has a pay for all the sins of the people, so we all could be saved. So at first, they were rejected. However, Roman officials, emperor and imperators gradually hostile decreased. They used to persecute Christians, but suddenly their Christianity modified its teachings to make them more acceptable to wealthy and educated Romans, and they developed institutions modeled on those of Roman Empire. So emperators in the 1st century first allowed Christianity and they made it the official religion of the empire, one of the many measures through which they attempt to solve the problems created by invasions and political issues that were happening before. We also find that Rome became a very much known for the capital of the empire, increasingly adorned with the beautiful buildings and improved urban housing. Move on, we find the economy and the commerce. We find that Muslims or the Islamic world, its residents include different professionals such as artisans, merchants, and religious leaders. We also find nomadic tribes called Bedouin that move from place to place, grazing their sheep, goats, and camels. Generally, These groups became an important political and military part of the system because of their togetherness, solidarity, fighting traditions, and possession of horses and camels, and ability to control trade and lines of communication. Mecca became the center of the commerce and culture of the Western Arabian. Also, Muslims were able to conquer many regions to their military victories and well done organization, and the practice establishing garrison cities in the newly conquered territories. On the other side, we find that the Roman Empire, as we were talking before, they have beautiful provinces and frontiers and also extensive prosperity to the growth of agriculture, industry, and trade. And they have different connections that extend to India and China thanks to the Tibet River. We also find that they have beautiful buildings that attract people as well to their region or their civilization. One of them we find the Colosseum in Rome, which is a sports arena that could fit thousands of spectators. For any shows, they usually use them to kill or persecute Christians in the past, and they were gladly to be the spectators of those shows. We also have the Pantheon in Rome, which is a temple dedicated to all the gods and was built in his presence to honor them, their belief. We also find the Pont du Gard at Nimes in France, and it's a bridge over a river that carry an aqueduct supplying millions of gallons of water per day to the Roman city of Nimes in Gaul. We also find the writings and the arts for both of those, and I think the arts also goes along with the types of building that both of them made or did. So we want to share a little bit about how I say before the Roman. They have a beautiful capital, different temples. They paint different idols, creates we kind of say temple churches to worship after they accept Christianity. And in the other side, Muslims, we find as well that they develop a beautiful, sophisticated, and cosmopolitan culture. And they also very many Muslims were scholars and produced important work in many disciplines, especially mathematics, medicine, and philosophy. This brilliant civilization profoundly influenced the development of both Eastern and Western civilization. Thanks to thanks to the Muslim merchants that transport a rich variety of goods across Eurasia, most of this their belief and the cultures were transferred to other civilizations that accept Muslims as well. And the last questions we would like to answer is that in what ways do 21st century ideas differs from the two Asian civilizations I choose? So first, I believe that in the way it is governed today, at least in the United States, there is more freedom to decide for the country. For example, the right to vote, who will be the next president, give each citizen the right to decide their future. It's of course very different from the Rome, which follows a hierarchy, power, or the Muslims as well that they divide in two. And they were only the ones who can govern the country. So there was not democracy or a vote to everybody to choose which one would be the next leader. Usually in the past, they were more chronological leaders. Let's see, the father and the son and the grandchildren and so on. On the other hand, women were very regarded or is regarded today or more appreciated today in comparisons as they did in ancient times. We had women in the past that have no voice or vote in any traits of politics. We find, for example, the Roman we were only teach the law of God and all the rules and everything and the politics only were allowed men or boys to get or enlist to those activities and participate, and the women were not allowed. Even if they do want to, they consider to kind of like committing a sin just for allow a lady to be part of them. And well, today a woman have the opportunity, of course, even to decide if she wants to be a leader of her country right now in the United States. We also find the relationship between the state and the church as in entities to govern a nation or civilization. It's not considered hand in hand. Both civilizations, they very related the church in the political. As we see, the Roman Empire, they adopt Christianity and then become together with the politic a ruler of all people. So if the people want to get another religion, they'll later on become persecuted. So both the political and the church were very hand in hand. And the same we see for the Islamic world, where the belief on Muhammad and later on their belief in the way of life dictate the values of the nation, the laws of the nation, and how they control all the trade and everything. So today's political is separate from the church, giving more diversity to religions within the same country or nation. So today we can be a Muslim, we can be a Jewish, we can be a Catholic, we can be a Seventh-day Adventist, we can be an evangelic, Pentecostal, and we won't have problems because we have the freedom of worship, the freedom of consciousness to believe whatever we want to believe, and that would not cause any problem on, about following the rules of the nation because they're not connected. And personally, I learned from these two great civilizations that difference are not a reason to fight, but to share and evolve as a society. Especially when you have international relationships with other continents or countries. And I learned to value diversity in terms of culture, religion, food of each nation. We see that for Islamic world, some of the belief of the Muhammad in the Quran were welcome to other civilizations that conquer. They use as well slaves from other continents that were they were conquered, and they accept them to be Islamic and being part of them, and they will later on this slave will become a military. So it's nice that they might share or have that opportunity to take something and share to others, even their beliefs. And I learned to value diversity in terms of culture, religion, food, principles of each nation, and that we all share a past that help us deal with the present better. And the most interesting thing that I learned is that the human being, it doesn't matter where continent their civilizations come from, they have a need to seek a god. Some of them have different gods, which are called polytheists, and others are called only one god, which is monotheist. But the human being is only seeking to worship something that is way higher than us. And of course, we see differences between those religions. However, most of the religion that we see during this quarter of the trimester, we find that they're very good values for humanity, to treat different people, to share our services, to be honest in our commerce. So, having that religion helps to have an equity and equality for all the peoples of any population. And thank you. I hope you like this presentation. Thank you.